The year is 1934. America is in the suffocating grip of the Great Depression, a time of desperation that's hard for us to even imagine. In the quiet, rolling hills of Pennsylvania, life was slower, but no one could escape the weight of the era. It's against this somber backdrop that a story of unimaginable tragedy began, a story that the nation would come to know as the Babes in the Woods Murders. Our story is about three young girls, 12-year-old Norma Sedgwick and her half-sisters, 10-year-old DeWilla and 8-year-old Cordelia Noakes. They were children of their time, used to making do with less and finding joy in simple things. But their innocence was about to be stolen most brutally. On November 24, 1934, two men, John Clark and Clark Jardine, were heading into the woods on South Mountain to cut firewood. Their routine chore was interrupted by a strange sight: a green blanket stretched neatly over a mound on the forest floor. Curious and a little unsettled, they walked over and pulled back the cover. What they saw was a scene of pure horror. Lying there were the bodies of three young girls. They were dressed nicely with good coats, looking almost like they were asleep. The youngest, Cordelia, was snuggled into the arms of one of her older sisters. There were no obvious signs of a struggle, just a haunting stillness. The men rushed to find a telephone to alert the police in the nearby town of Carlisle. Word of the discovery spread like wildfire. A nation already gripped by the recent tragic Lindbergh baby kidnapping now had a new mystery. Who were these three girls? And who could do something so heartless? The initial investigation was incredibly challenging. This was long before DNA testing or modern forensics, so just identifying the victims was the first major hurdle. The girls had no ID. In a desperate move, authorities took the unprecedented step of putting their bodies on public display at a local funeral home. Over several days, thousands of people filed past, hoping to recognize the Babes in the Woods, but no one could name them. The first real break in the case came from a completely different investigation, 125 miles away. Near a railroad station in Duncansville, the bodies of a man and a young woman were found in an apparent murder-suicide. The man was 32-year-old Elmo Noakes, and the woman was his 18-year-old niece, Winifred Pierce. A .22 caliber rifle lay between them. As police looked into the lives of Noakes and Pierce, the two separate tragedies started to merge into one horrific family saga. Investigators found an abandoned sedan with California license plates traced to Elmo Noakes. Back in California, relatives confirmed that Elmo, his two daughters, his stepdaughter, and his niece Winifred had all vanished on November 11th. The puzzle pieces were falling into place, confirming the worst. The three girls in the woods were Norma, DeWilla, and Cordelia. Elmo was their father and stepfather. The investigation uncovered a complicated and troubling family situation. After Elmo's wife, the girl's mother, had died 2 years earlier, his niece Winifred moved in to help care for the children. This arrangement caused tension, with rumors of a romance between Elmo and his young niece. It's believed that family objections are what prompted Elmo and Winifred to flee California, taking the girls on a desperate cross-country journey to find a new life. But that new life never began. Police tracked their movements through Pennsylvania, where they stayed in tourist homes and campgrounds. They were running out of money, and autopsies revealed the girls hadn't eaten in some time. The theory that emerged was a story of pure desperation, that Elmo Noakes, unable to provide for his children and unwilling to see them starve, made the horrific decision to end their lives. It's believed he suffocated them, placed them carefully under the blanket, and then continued west with Winifred. Their journey ended just a few days later when Elmo used the last of their money from selling Winifred's coat to buy the rifle that would end both their lives. Even though Elmo Noakes is the presumed killer, the exact motive and sequence of events are lost to time. Some early theories even suggested the girls died from accidental carbon monoxide poisoning while left in a running car, and that a panicked Elmo and Winifred killed themselves out of grief. We'll never know for sure what was in Elmo Noakes' mind. All that remains is the heartbreaking story of three little girls laid to rest in a Pennsylvania cemetery, their funeral paid for by the local American Legion, with Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts as their pallbearers. Today, a simple blue and gold sign stands along Route 233, a quiet memorial that reads, "On this spot were found three babes in the woods, November 24, 1934. Decades later, in a different forest, another unspeakable crime would happen. But this time, the victims would leave behind a final, chilling message. It was February 13th, 2017, a mild winter day in Delphi, Indiana. School was out, so two best friends, 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German, decided to go for a hike. Libby's older sister dropped them off at the entrance to the Delphi Historic Trails, a popular local spot known for the Monon High Bridge, a decommissioned railroad trestle that towers over Deer Creek. Like any teenagers, they were documenting their day. At 2:07 p.m., Libby posted a picture of Abby walking on the bridge to her Snapchat account. It's a happy, carefree photo, the kind taken a million times a day by friends everywhere. Tragically, it would be one of the last photos of them alive. When the girls didn't show up at the designated pickup spot, their families knew something was terribly wrong. A search began immediately, growing more frantic as daylight faded. The next day, Valentine's Day, their bodies were found in a wooded area about a half mile from the bridge. The community was plunged into shock and horror. But this case would be different from the mysteries of the past. In her final moments, Libby German had the incredible presence of mind to pull out her phone and secretly record what was happening. Her courage would give investigators their biggest clues and haunt the entire country. Police soon released two crucial pieces of evidence from Libby's phone. The first was a grainy image of a man walking on the bridge, his hands in his pockets, his head down. He wore a blue jacket, jeans, and a cap. He became known to the world simply as the Bridge Guy. The second piece of evidence was even more chilling, a short audio clip. In it, a man's low, guttural voice is heard ordering the girls, "Guys, down the hill." These fragments of evidence sparked one of the most intense manhunts in Indiana history. The voice and image of the Bridge Guy were everywhere. Police received tens of thousands of tips. Over the years, two different composite sketches were released, which only added to the confusion. For 5 long years, the case went cold. The families of Abby and Libby waited in agony, and the small town of Delphi lived with the knowledge that a killer was likely walking among them. Then, in October 2022, the break everyone had been waiting for finally came. A 50-year-old local man, Richard Allen, was arrested and charged with the murders. The news was stunning. Allen was a married father who worked at the local CVS. He was such a part of the community that he had even processed photos for Libby German's family. The road to his arrest was a slow burn of police work. Court documents revealed that an unspent .40 caliber bullet had been found between the girls' bodies. In 2022, when investigators searched Richard Allen's home, they found a pistol that ballistics experts were able to link to that very bullet. On top of that, Allen himself had admitted to being on the trail the day the girls disappeared, though he denied any involvement. When the trial began in the fall of 2024, the full horror of the crime was revealed. A forensic pathologist testified that both girls had their throats cut. It also came out that while in jail, Allen had allegedly confessed to the murders over 60 times, including on a recorded phone call to his wife and to prison staff. His defense attorneys argued these confessions were the result of his declining mental state in custody. The defense also tried to introduce a shocking alternate theory that the murders were a ritualistic sacrifice by a pagan Norse group called Odinists, but the judge ultimately did not allow this to be presented to the jury. On November 11, 2024, after nearly 19 hours of deliberation, a jury found Richard Allen guilty on all counts of murder. He was later sentenced in December to 130 years in prison. As of late 2025, his lawyers have stated their intention to appeal the conviction. From a desperate act in the Great Depression to a calculated crime in our modern world, these two stories share a heartbreaking theme: the loss of innocent lives in places that should have been safe. In 1934, there was no technology to capture a killer's face or voice. The truth was pieced together from abandoned cars and tragic postscripts. 83 years later, a victim's own cell phone provided the key that would ultimately bring justice. Libby German's final act was one of astonishing bravery, a testament to her will to fight back in the only way she could. The woods may hold dark secrets, but her courage brought one of those secrets into the light. The stories of these victims deserve to be told. If you want to see more content that honors the memory of those we've lost, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching.